What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. You have your normal Thursday lineup here. You have myself, Alpha Dog Bets. We have JD from Line Movers, and for every Thursday, we have Jammer Bets. Jammer, excited to have you on for another week as our, not really a special guest, you're a regular now, but how are you today?
I'm doing great, Alpha. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Over to JD, loving the Alabama hat. Maybe some more to come on that in a little bit. How are you today?
Maybe. Yeah, man. I'm actually doing really good. We have a really good card here. So yeah, man, like everything's great.
Right away, we have Bill Norman in our YouTube. Guys, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube, you must. Moneyball Metrics, tons of content on the YouTube. Make sure you go on there. Bill, we appreciate you tuning in, as you seem to always do. Fellas, we're about to get into the best time of the year in the sports world, in my opinion. We have NBA starting. We have college basketball starting. We have college football. We have NFL, and we are in the middle of the MLB playoffs. Today, we have a pretty unique slate that we are going to be going over. I'm excited for it. We have a couple college football games. We have a couple playoff baseball games, as well as tonight's Thursday night football game. So we have a lot of games to get into. Are you boys ready to dive into the first game on the slate?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it, gentlemen. First game we're going to be breaking down today is going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide. They are 5-1 overall, 2-1 in the conference, going to Tennessee and taking on the Volunteers, who are also 5-1 and 2-1 in the conference. These teams have had pretty interesting seasons. Alabama, since the Georgia game, really has not looked like Alabama, really since the first half of that game. Georgia had a monster second half, almost came back and beat Bama. Then the following week, they lose to Vandy outright. They allowed 40 points to Vandy. And last week, they escaped with a win at home versus South Carolina. Guys, I'm going to start with Jammer. What do we think about Alabama? What do we think about Tennessee? And who's going to win this SEC showdown?
Yeah, man, you mentioned it. Bama's recent form has really raised some eyebrows. You know, they entered that South Carolina game 19.5-point favorites and had to rely on a last-minute stop to avoid overtime. Turnovers have been an issue for him, with Jalen Milroe throwing 3 picks in the last 2 games. Plus, Milroe's been sacked 6 times. You know, the protection on the offensive line is breaking down. He's still a threat on the ground with 3 rushing touchdowns, but the offense has just been stalling too often. And Bama's defense, allowing 92 points in their last 10 quarters, looking very far from their dominant self that we're used to. On the other side of the ball, Tennessee's offense has hit a wall in SEC play. They looked dynamic early on, but the Vols failed to score over 25 points in conference matchups and only scored 20 or fewer in regulation in their last 2 games. Am I going to attempt to pronounce the quarterback's name? Let's give it a try. Nico Iamaleava started hot.
We'll take it.
I tried. But he's cooled off significantly. Just 1 touchdown pass over the last 3 games and taking 10 sacks. Volunteers offense ranks 53rd in efficiency and 47th in explosiveness. These metrics really don't inspire a lot of confidence. But on the other side, Bama, they are explosive. Fun fact on the season, Bama has more 50-plus yard plays this season than Tennessee has 20-plus yard plays. And
Explosive.
To me, that is a huge difference whenever Alabama can just flip the field in a single play like that. So for me, it's tough to pick a side here, but I think that with the explosiveness of the Alabama offense and you got to back them. I'm going to take Bama minus 2.5 on the road.
I respect it. I am going to go the other way, though. I do like Tennessee in this matchup. Alabama has shown me nothing. They had a great first half against Georgia. But outside of that, what have they done this year? They really haven't shown me too much. I know they beat Wisconsin early in the year by 32 points. That looks better now than it did at the time. But at home against South Carolina, to only win by 2, losing to Vandy in the last 2 weeks, this team just, to me, feels like a completely different team. And the coaching for this team is not up to the normal Alabama standard. You definitely feel that Nick Saban is no longer with the program. All that being said, I do like Tennessee, like I said, in this game, plus 2.5 at home. I also lean the over as well, but my favorite play is going to be Tennessee plus the 2.5. Nico is going to have a big game here. Alabama's defense has been getting gashed over and over and over. That should benefit this Tennessee offense. As you said, though, Alabama is extremely explosive. Tennessee is going to have to hold Ryan Williams in check. They are going to have to take away the deep ball and take away their big play threat. And if they are able to do that at home with the crowd behind them, I think Tennessee should be able to get this done and even win the game outright. But for a little security, I'm going to take the plus 2.5. JD, what do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, I really like what actually both of y'all said there. And that's just a perfect setup for actually me for this game. I actually like points here. For me, this is a over game. First off, as far as the model goes, it has this at 62.1 points. So I'm showing a big gap there. So actually for like me, like actually, like as soon as I saw that, I went straight to figure out, okay, why can we, or actually like what can we find out to actually like back this up? And basically what actually both y'all said, as far as actually Tennessee goes, this really seems like a good, like kind of like a get back on track game. Because actually, as far as Bama goes, they've been giving up points.
Yep.
They've been giving up a lot of points. And then on the other side, as far as Tennessee, as far as their defense goes, as far as their captain, he actually got hurt last week. I believe he tore his ACL.
Yep.
And actually, like, he's actually out now. So Bama, they're actually going to get theirs. So for me, with the total being at 56, to me, this is really an easy overplay. I would have to go with Bama on the side, but I'm actually going to stick with over here.
There we go. So we have a
Let me
bunch of
borrow your
different
hat
plays
there,
on this game.
JD.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have Jammer borrow that.
You're not
since
going
he's
to
gonna
back
be
him.
out.
You got to at least give me that hat.
I'm going to need the Tennessee hat then, because I do think Tennessee is going to win this outright. I like that we have a lot of difference of opinions on this game. We will be back either tomorrow or next Thursday to recap these. Not sure which one will recap this, but I'm hoping we're going to come back. Or obviously not tomorrow. I take that back. The game is until Saturday. So next Thursday when we come back, we will be here to recap that game, and I have a feeling the Tennessee and the over guy are going to be a little happy. We shall see. Let's keep it moving, fellas. Second game we have on the slate is going to be the Georgia at Texas game. The spread currently is 4.5 points. Georgia is coming in 5-1 on the year. They are 3-1 in the conference. Their only loss was to Alabama in that 41-34 showdown. On the other side, number one team in the nation at home, Texas, coming in 6-0. Guys, Texas has looked like an absolute wagon this year. Let's just go over the results from their games. Last week, 34-3 win over Oklahoma. Absolutely blanked them defensively and offensively. They did whatever they wanted. Against Mississippi State, 35-13. Against ULM, 51-3. Against UTSA, 56-7. And against Michigan, at Michigan, 31-12. So they've been an absolute wagon this year. Georgia, they've been pretty good. 5-1, like I said. They beat Mississippi State 41-31. Auburn 31-13. They lost that Bama game. The week before that, they really struggled against Kentucky. Escaped that game with a 13-12 win. So Jammer, all that being said, massive game. Longhorns are at home. Who do you got?
Man, I mean, you mentioned it. Texas has been on a tear, outscoring the teams with a combined score of 259-38. Number one in ESPN's game control metric, which is a huge part of college football. The numbers show that this team is just absolutely dominating. But the thing is, you listed all the teams there. There's not really any elite talent. The top two teams, Michigan and Oklahoma, neither of which really has a quarterback who could even throw the ball 10-plus yards down the field.
Very true.
So, I mean, to me, the Longhorns' number one ranked defense, they've yet to give up multiple passing touchdowns, is about to have its toughest test yet with Georgia quarterback Carson Beck. Georgia ranks 6th in offensive efficiency, even performing well against top teams like Bama and Clemson this season. So the big question for me is, will Texas, will their pass defense, who's performed well so far, can they handle Beck and Georgia's aerial attack? Beck has the ability to stretch the field and spread the love. He's got 5 wide receivers with 2+ receiving touchdowns this season. This is something that Texas has not been tested on yet this season. A big thing for me is going to be in the trenches. I'm always talking about the trenches with these big games like this. And I have to say that Texas probably has the best offensive line in the country, only allowing 6 sacks in 6 games this season. Quinn Ewers, in the games that he started, he's only been sacked twice. On the flip side, Georgia's pass rush has been underwhelming this season with only 3 sacks in the last 3 games. Georgia's best defensive lineman has been limited due to injury, so it's going to have to take a look at that injury report before the game, because that's really going to affect their ability to rush the quarterback there. For me, I think that this game is a huge test for that number one ranking for Texas. So just based on the numbers and what we've seen from both teams so far, I think you got to back Texas here at home, especially. big, huge SEC implications, big college football implications, potential number 1 on the line. I'm going to back Quinn Ewers and the Texas Longhorns this weekend in Austin.
I'm in the exact same boat you are. Let's check out how these two teams have performed against the spread this year.
I looked these up as well.
The first one that stands out is Georgia. Georgia is 1-5 against the spread. They are the 8th worst cover team in the nation. The 8th worst cover team in the nation. I repeated that again. You heard that right. That's including all the Division I schools, not just the Power 5. So they have not performed at all against the spread this year. You take a look. Maybe let's see how Texas did. Maybe they haven't been great against the spread. Nope. Texas is 3rd in the nation. 3rd in the nation at covering games. They are 5-1 on the year, covering at 83.5%. They have been unbelievable, and they're beating the expected margin by 8.1 points per game. So they're covering by over 8 points in every single game on average. And with Georgia, they're missing the cover by 7.5 points on every single game. Texas just seems like the absolute wagon this year. To me, they do seem like the clear-cut best team in the nation. I don't know if they have the best quarterback starting for them. Arch Manning looked absolutely unbelievable, but this team is a wagon. The system is built for whoever's in there right now. As long as you're a competent quarterback, you will succeed with this team. And give me Texas. I think that they will cover this game rather easily. We should see Carson back have another average to a little bit above average game. He will struggle against this Texas defense. Give me the Longhorns. JD, what do you got?
As far as actually the covers go, yeah, you're right. As far as Georgia has been bad, and then actually like Texas has been great. I don't have the number right in front of me, but I believe as far as the strength of schedule goes, I believe Texas is actually 89th, while Georgia is actually 7th. There's a big gap there.
Absolutely.
So for me, that's where it comes to as far as actually Texas goes, is like, who have they played? And they haven't really had a real test yet, like whatsoever. I will say that actually, like, by the numbers, it really should be a Texas play. Like, I'm not even going to say it, but my numbers have Texas favored large. Which to me, just like looking at it though, it just doesn't make sense though. And for me, normally you would think that Georgia would actually try to run the ball here. But actually this season, Georgia is actually not a run team now. Georgia is a pass team.
They're throwing it around.
Yeah. So when you put everything together here for me, once again, just like last game, this just seems like an overplay. I think that both teams are actually going to score here. The model has this at 59.7 points. I'm actually thinking 60s here. And going against my numbers and everything, which I normally do not do, if I had to pick a side, it actually would be Georgia. Them actually like in that underdog role, they just get up more for actually these like type of games.
Unless they're playing Bama.
Right. But for me, like I said, the side is like the numbers say one actually way, my gut says the other way. But as far as the total here, over, I absolutely love that though.
One more thing I did want to add for this game. So we do have a common opponent. I do like to talk about this in college. I do think it's a good kind of measure of where these two teams are. And they both played at home against Mississippi State, which is a decent team. Mississippi State scored 31 points against Georgia, while against Texas, Mississippi State only scored 13 points. So I think that was a big telling point as well, to get a common opponent and see how one team absolutely handled them and one team struggled and did have to make a late push to win the game by 10. So that's another point I wanted to throw in there. But fellas, we're about time to get into the MLB breakdown of the show. And we all know what the early game is today. Let's dive right into it. Guys, we are going over the Yankees taking on the Guardians. Yanks 2-0, looking great so far, taking on the Guardians 0-2 in this series. Pitching for the Yankees is going to be Clark Schmidt. Schmidt's coming in with a postseason record of 0-0 and a 3.86 ERA. On the other side, we have Matthew Boyd. Boyd has a 0 ERA. He's been great, but he does not have a win or a loss this postseason. They have not hit for him. The series is back in Cleveland. We all saw what happened in the first two games. Yanks won game 1 5-2. Yanks won game 2 6-3. So they've won both games by 3 runs. JD, we'll start with you. What do you think is going to happen in the Yanks Guardians today?
No, I'm going to keep this really simple here. The Yankees are just clearly the actual like better team here. We all like knew that like actually from the very start, and actually through the first two games they have definitely shown that. To me, I think nothing changes here. I think that we're honestly getting the Yankees at a very cheap price here. I got them on the money line and actually minus 115. So I just have to, I actually just have to roll with actually them here.
Jammer?
Yeah, it's tough to argue against you there. I mean, Cleveland just really has not shown up so far in the series. But I do got a question for you, Alf. Would you say that Clark Schmidt is probably the weak link in the Yankees starting rotation during the postseason?
It's interesting. It's interesting because he's been decent. He has a 3.8 ERA. It's not terrible. But to me, the Yankees went all out in games 1 and 2. They used their top two guys. I personally, as a Yankees fan, everyone knows that already, I thought the best decision for the Yankees was to use a guy like Luis Gil at home, a rookie pitcher, not to let both average pitchers, the lower-end pitchers, go when they're in Cleveland. But Clark's been good. Clark has been good.
Yeah, I mean, like in that game versus the Royals, he pitched 4 2/3. He only allowed one hit through those 4 2/3 innings before allowing nearly a full what's the word I'm looking for here? Before allowing a
implosion.
I mean, it was an implosion, a cycle. He allowed a single, a double, and a triple. The only thing he didn't give up was a home run before allowing those 2 runs and getting pulled. I will say on the other end, though, Matthew Boyd for the Cleveland Guardians has looked well. Yankees haven't been able to hit lefties well. He played them in late August. Matthew Boyd, that is. He played the Yankees. He pitched 5 1/3, allowed 4 hits, 3 earned runs, faced some early trouble in the first inning with back-to-back Judge and Soto home runs before locking in and going the rest of the next 5 innings. So, I mean, he did pitch well against them not too long ago. For me, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a grit and grind game for me. Guardians at home can't go down 3-0. I'm not going to take a side or a total here. I'm just going to throw out some plus money props here. I believe Trevino is playing catcher today for the Yankees.
That is the rumor. That is the rumor. It's the lineup has not officially dropped yet, from what I've seen.
Once that drops and that's official, I will be hopping on Jose Ramirez and Andre Jimenez, both to have a stolen base. It's a great approach. I'll throw some chips on each one of those, plus 330 for Ramirez, plus 375 for Jimenez. Just some plus money plays, looking for some extra chips to play with later on in the weekend.
I like that because Jose Trevino is the worst defensive catcher against stolen bases that I have seen in my entire life. I believe there was a stretch this year. Where base runners stole, I think it was like 40-something straight bases against him. He cannot throw. He legitimately cannot throw anyone out. That is the reason he got benched. I believe either last year or the year before. Trevino was an all-star. He made the all-star game. His offense is not terrible. Defensively, he's great at blocking the ball. Can't throw anyone out. Everyone had a free steal. A walk turned into a double every time he was behind the plate. So I definitely understand why you would take that approach. I definitely respect that. I'm going to go here, guys. I do want to go over Boyd's numbers because I think it is going to tell you what we're going to expect to see out of this game. His last start against the Tigers, he went 2 innings, only allowed 1 run, did not give up only allowed 1 hit, did not allow a run. Game before that, he went 4 2/3. Game before that, he went 4 flat. Game before that, he went 2 2/3. Game before that, he went 4 innings. This is going to be a bullpen game. The Yankees are not going to let Clark Schmidt have an extremely long leash out there. So I know you said in the first game, he kind of got hit in the 4th inning. He did really well at the beginning, but then he gave up a couple hits and it kind of spiraled a little bit. That's not going to happen today. If he gives up that first hit and then a walk, something like that, he's out. We've seen that this series, that they have a short leash. We saw with Tanner Bybee the other day that the Guardians pulled him very early, very, very early. Believe it was in the 2nd inning. I should know that because I was at the game, but it was either the 2nd or 3rd inning that they pulled him and brought in the bullpen when he didn't. I think he only allowed 1 or 2 at that point. It was very interesting, but clearly they're going to be going to their bullpen too. So I do think we're going to see both teams have to utilize their bullpen. And throughout the course of the year, you would think that would favor the Guardians. They have had the better bullpen over the duration of the entire season, but in the playoffs, they just don't. They have a lot of inexperienced guys who are not ready for this moment, in my opinion. If the Yankees win this game, they are going to sweep it. This is the game, though, that I think that the Guardians have a shot. All that I said. I think if the Guardians were to win a game and get back in the series, all series I said it was going to be today. I'm laying off this one. I am going to see how it plays out. I know everyone's probably wondering how I'm not taking a minus 120 on the Yankees today, but I'm not. If there was any spot, this would be the game that they would win. And it's really hard to sweep a team in a playoff series, so I will not be taking that today. I'm going to be holding off.
And the Guardians, the best home team in the AL this season. Won 2 of 3 so far this postseason. It's tough not to back them at home, but
it is. But it's also tough to back them when they're supposed to be one of the best defensive teams in the league.
Yeah,
they keep making errors left and right. You see that they are rattled, and they just have not been playing up to their full potential defensively. The bullpen, their stars are not hitting. I know that Ramirez had a garbage time homer in the ninth inning last game, but he was batting 140 coming into that at bat. So if their stars do not pick it up, they are going to lose this game and lose the series. But we will see what happens now that they are back in Cleveland. Over to the comments real quick before we go over to the next baseball game. We have Logan here who's tuning in. He's asking if we like Kamara. We will be getting to the Thursday night football game in just a little bit, so you did not miss that. Footy's here. He's excited that Jammer is on the show. Pitt won, so we know Jammer's excited. And Jose Trevino still throws better than Eli Holstein. That will be the quarterback of Pittsburgh. So Footy is trying to take a couple jabs at Jammer. Sorry, Jammer, you can deal with Footy later. Let's keep it moving, fellas. Next game we have on the slate, which I got absolutely wrong yesterday. I'm sitting here to tell you I got it wrong. I thought the Mets, the hot team, were going to roll in and compete against a pretty lousy pitcher in Walker Buehler. We all saw what happened. I'm not going to say any more about what happened last night. Let's go into today's game. We have Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He is 1-0, but he does have a 5.65 elevated ERA. Going up against Jose Quintana. I do think it's a good thing that Quintana is going today. He is a lefty. I think that will help them today. But let's start with Jammer. What do you like in this game? And quickly, before I do go to you, I want to pull it up here. If you go to ESPN's BPI, they have a predictor of what they think is going to happen in this game. The Mets are a 50.1 projected to win, and the Dodgers are a 49.9. So we got about a 0.02% differential here for what ESPN predicts is going to happen. Jammer, what do you think is going to happen? Right,
man, I was shocked how flat the Mets were in Game 3.
Me too.
But I mean, you got to say they did look the same in Game 1, and they rebounded with a terrific Game 2. So I tend to think maybe the same thing we'll see here tonight. But Jose Quintana, he's been the team's best pitcher since late August with a .57 ERA in his past 8 outings, allowing just 3 earned runs over the last 47 innings. So I mean, going up against Yamamoto, who the Mets also pursued in free agency, had a lousy first playoff game versus the Padres, but rebounded in that second one. One good thing about the Game 3 blowout for the Mets is that the bullpen should be in great shape. Don't think I could pick a side here, although I would lean the Mets at home with Quintana. I think the best bet here is to back the starting pitchers. I'm going to be taking the first 5 under 4 runs. I think the 3.5 at plus money. I'd do it at a lower unit, but I'm going to take the little bit of juice on under 4. I'm going to back the pitchers to do what they do, keep the runs off the board, and bet that the Mets bats are still cold from last night.
I like that. I do lean that as well. I apologize if you guys can hear the absolutely loud police truck right outside my window. I hope they're not here coming for me.
Coming for you.
Can't see. I'm hiding behind my blinds here. They can't see me, so we are all good, everybody. But in this game, I do lean the Mets. It's not an official play for me yet, but this is the series. Today is the game. If they lose, it's over in 5. We all know what's going to happen. If they win, we have a series. And this Mets team, every single time this year, their backs were on the wall. They've seemed to come through. They were, a 6% chance in June to make the playoffs. They were so far back. And the rest of the year, they just went on a tear. They had to get in on the last day of the year as well. They had to beat the Braves to get in. They did that. They've done everything they've needed to do when their back is against the wall. It's a tough game, though. It really is. But do we think Yamamoto is going to show up? I don't really know. The guy he's not as advertised. I mean, he was supposed to be the best pitcher in the league this year. Teams were offering bazillions of dollars for him. I believe it was, $700 million, something crazy to get him there. And he has not pitched anywhere near that. I mean, he has a 5.63 ERA in the playoffs. But besides that, over 8 innings of work, he's allowed 10 base runners. So his whip is a 1.25 as well. There aren't any metrics on Yamamoto that make me think this guy is an electric elite pitcher so far. I'm sure he will get there soon. It takes a while to get, used to the MLB game. I know Shohei made it look like it doesn't, but it really does. And I do think that this Mets team is going to get it done. So you know what? I said it wasn't an official play. It's an official play. Give me the Mets plus 115. JD, what do you like?
Kind of like you're saying, I think the Mets today, they actually should be able to actually put up runs. And when I think the Mets should be able to put up runs, I just go to the over then, because the Dodgers are going to do what the Dodgers do, and actually they're going to put up runs. I have been on the overs, these Dodgers games overs. I feel like almost every game. During the playoffs, the Mets to the over are actually 8-2. The Dodgers are 7-1. So these games just keep going over and keep going over, and we keep getting the same it's like a 7.5 or actually around there every single game. So the books have just not changed it. And then actually during the regular season, when actually these two teams played, they were actually 8-2 to the over also. So these have just been over games. We're actually getting a flat 7 here. So I have to do the same thing again, guys, and I have to go with the over 7 here.
Question for you, JD. Me and you, before we had our good pal Jammer here, at least 4 out of the 5 days a week, we talked about how terrible this Dodgers bullpen has been. Are we done saying that now? Is that over? Because they look great. I mean, I don't know if I could say it right now. The bullpen's looking great. What do you think?
I don't know if I can say it's over because
keep holding on to it.
He's like,
when you still look at the numbers and everything, they're still not that good. Yes, during the playoffs here, they've been used well.
Good way to put it.
I guess I'll say it like actually that. So no, I'm not gonna say that they're complete shit like I was saying. But no, I still don't think that they're just they're just great though. No.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat with you, but I will say I have eaten my words a little bit, and I probably won't be bringing up how lousy the bullpen is until they show me that they're lousy again. Let's keep it moving, fellas. Over to the Thursday night football game. We have a toilet bowl tonight. An absolute crapper between the Broncos and the New Orleans Saints. Broncos are coming in 3-3. They are 2-1 on the road. Saints coming in 2-4. They are 1-2 at home. Quarterback matchup tonight is looking like it's going to be Bo Nix for the Broncos, and it does look like Derek Carr is going to be out again, so it should be Spencer Rattler in there again. Jammer, we're going to start with you. This game is very interesting. Both teams are decimated on offense and defense. The Saints don't have any receivers tonight. How are they going to move the ball? On the Broncos side, they don't have any DBs tonight. How are they going to stop the pass? Who's going to be catching it? Who knows? Jammer, break it down. What do you got?
Man, you mentioned it. Going to be a stinker of a game. Spencer Rattler, a tale of two halves last week. He showed good flashes in the first half. He went 11 of 17 for 140 yards and a touchdown. Second half, completely different story. Just 11 of 23 with 2 interceptions. He showed poise, but inconsistency will definitely be a concern moving forward. I watched every single one of his passes and rushes from last week, and I'm telling you, man, he just did not look good. That offensive line just was blown up. I wrote down something here. The Buccaneers, they are one of the most heavy blitz teams in the league. They showed a lot of simulated blitzes last week. There was a lot of only bringing 3 and 4 guys, and they were still getting pressure. Spencer Rattler was rushing for his life back there, rolling out of the pocket. He had 4 rushes for 24, 25 yards, whatever it was. By my calculations, I only saw 9 blitzes from the Buccaneers. From a team that blitzes so much as they have throughout the season, they showed the simulated blitz a lot more than they did, and they still got to him in the second half, forcing those 2 picks. So, I mean, this week he's going to get the team that's number 1 in the league, that's number 1 in blitzing with the Denver Broncos. They were a completely different team after Pat Surtain went out last week. So you don't really know what you're going to get this week because whenever he's on the field, he's eliminating half the field. You don't really have to worry about the half that he's on. But now that he's gone, that leaves a huge hole in the defense. And we saw with Justin Herbert, he was just dinking and dunking the ball up the field, left and right, spreading it to all the different receivers. He's a completely different quarterback than Spencer Rattler.
Oh yeah.
I see in the chat, Footy, he's got my play. He's like in my head right now. So I mean, I watched every single one of his passes last week. I couldn't get the numbers off PFF, but his turnover worthy plays had to be 5, 6, 7. They had to be up there. I think we're going to see a lot of simulated blitzes, a lot of actual blitzes from this Denver Broncos defense. That offensive line for the Saints is not going to be able to stop him and give him any time to throw the ball. I like Spencer Rattler to throw an INT. You see it right there in the chat. And then another play, it's really tough to pick things here. You don't really know what you're going to get out of the team. But I think one positive thing that I can say about the Saints is Bub Means. He looked good last week whenever Chris Olave went down, and Rashid Shaheed will also be out. So he jumps up the ladder right now. He's the number one guy. I like his over 3.5 receptions at plus money. It's either plus 105 or maybe right there at plus 100. I think we're going to see a lot of quick passes to him based on the blitzes and the pressure on Spencer Rattler. Look for a couple quick short passes to him. I saw someone mention earlier too, Alvin Kamara receptions. I was looking at that one as well, but I think it's tough whenever you're playing a team like the Denver Broncos who are going to bring a lot of blitzes. You might have to keep him back there in pass protection. I think the 4.5 is very tempting, especially at the juice that they're offering, but it's tough to think that he's going to be getting a lot of those quick screen passes or actually going out for an actual route. I think that we'll see him staying in the backfield in pass protection for the young quarterback.
Yeah, I definitely could see that happening as well. I'll go into my play on this game, guys. I'm taking the under. I'm taking under 37.5. I think this game is going to be absolute stinker. I really do. And I think that this defense of the Broncos is going to do everything in their power to try and confuse Spencer Rattler, because we saw last week he was easily confusable. Everything they did got him off of his game, and I think we're going to see a very similar game script here. The Broncos are a much better defense too. They will have a much better scheme than we saw last week. So I don't think that anybody's going to get bit by the Rattler snake in this one. I don't know if anyone's believing in the Rattler snake in this one. He just hasn't shown me anything. I wasn't high out of him on college. We all saw his past, his history, some of the things he said. I'm not going to go into that, but the dude's a real asshole. So not the biggest fan of him, and he has not shown me anything at all. The Broncos offense really hasn't shown me anything either. They got it going a little bit last week. They did lose 23-16, so they had a little bit going. I just don't think they're going to have a huge game here. I think this one stays comfortably under the 37.5. And I have one player prop, which kind of contradicts everything I just said, because I am taking a touchdown score. Someone's going to have to score in this game. Taysom Hill is now going to be out as well, so this Saints offense is really going to be bleak, especially when they're in the red zone. I think they may get 1 or 2 touchdowns in this game at most, and if they do, Alvin Kamara should be able to find the end zone at minus 120. He's my only pick for any touchdown score at this game. And it's kind of funny. You take a look at the touchdown scoring list for this game and the prices on everyone. The second favorite is Javonte Williams at plus 145, and then the third favorite to score is Bo Nix on a QB keeper at plus 210. So the only one that they're pretty confident should find the end zone is Alvin Kamara. You just take a look at the injury list for this Saints offense, and they literally have no receivers that you've ever heard of. They don't have their quarterback, and they don't have their center. Not only are they're missing on all levels of the offense, they also don't have Taysom Hill, which I don't know what position you can put him as. Is he a quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver, defensive end, special teamer? He does it all. So not having him is a big loss as well. Alvin Kamara is going to have to step up. He has 6 touchdowns on the year, guys. So I do think that's going to continue. We will get a 7th tonight. So let's hope the Saints only score 1. It's that Kamara touchdown, and we get a very low-scoring game. JD, I talked a lot. What do you got?
When I first looked at this game, I was just like, hell no. Like, I just don't want anything to do with this game. But then it was going to be on the show here. So I was like, all right, well, I actually do at least need to actually go in and actually break the session game.
Yeah.
So I did that, and just like looking at it, first off, there's no way that I can back the Saints. If actually you watched the NFL show last week, I said to bet against the Saints. I said to take the Bucks. I actually gave out alt lines there, and the Bucks just actually
murdered
beat them by a ton. So actually, like everything cashed there. So there's just a team like actually y'all both said, they are injured just like everywhere, just up and down. But then you have a road team here, and you have the Broncos, and you have Bo Nix. And on a short week Thursday night game, I was like, I just don't know how I can back that either. But then I was thinking about it, and actually Sean Payton here is actually going to be coming back.
Yeah, we didn't mention that. Yeah.
And that actually got me thinking. And even though it's a short week, I feel like he has something. He has something actually dialed up. They've been working on something here. And that got me. Yeah, and actually that got me looking at it here, and then I noticed DraftKings. They have a money line at actually minus 135. Where everybody else is like minus 150 to minus like 160. So I just kind of had to grab that. And I also will say on DraftKings, they are hanging an actual minus 2.5 at actually minus 115. And compared to the minus 135 money line, that doesn't really make sense. So that actual money line price is actually the actually best price there.
100%. What I have on FanDuel right now is that it's the same line as you just said, the 2.5, but it's all the way to minus 155. So that line makes absolutely no sense how they priced it.
So, like, as soon as I saw that, and it's still there now, so I just had to grab it. So
I like that. If I was able to see that earlier, that may have been my pick as well. I think the money line at a minus 135 is a really good play. I think we're all in agreement here. I don't see any way the Saints win this game outright. Maybe they get a couple garbage scores. They get the spread somewhat close. But if you can get the money line at a minus 135, I do think that's a very good play on this game.
Defense and special teams are the only way they're going to stay in.
100%. And they do have good special teams. So you never know what can happen. Yeah. You never know what could happen. But I do think it's going to be an underplay and the Broncos for sure. Over to the comments, we have Casper, who's in here, our local friend from the Faroe Islands, tuning in all the way from the Faroe Islands. We know you're a Broncos fan. I don't know how you found football or even the Broncos in the Faroe Islands, but we appreciate you tuning in as always, brother. Fellas, we gave out the picks. We broke down the games. But there's one thing left that we do on the show that we have about 1,000 people in here right now, and they are definitely waiting for it. So let's drop the little video because we got the best bets, and we're going to go over to Jammer to start his best bets. How many you got today? 7, 8, 9, 14? How many picks you have for the people?
I don't know what the total is. I'm just going to start listing them off. So, I mean, I'm going with that Spencer Rattler anytime INT. I just think that from what I saw last week, I don't think there's much time for improvement on the short week. So I'm going to take his anytime INT, minus 130, whatever you can grab it at. Anything over minus 150, I'm probably not going to be jumping on that, but around that minus 130, I really like. I know JD's on the over in this Dodgers-Mets game, but I like the first 5 under 4, especially at that number. You can get the push. First 5 under 4, Dodgers-Mets. And then I think you got to back I don't know if we can include these in best bets because they're plus money, but I do want the Jimenez and Ramirez stolen bases, obviously depending on if
Hold on, my ghost is here. My ghost is here. Okay, sorry, continue.
Right around this time every day.
Every day.
Jimenez and Ramirez stolen bases, plus 335, plus 375, depending on your book. Give me those two. So I'll drop those 4.
By the way, this is just for you, Jammer. You could drop any play you want as a best bet, brother. I don't care if it's plus money. JD doesn't care if it's plus money. People love the plus money, and I love those angles you're taking, especially
drop a couple minus 1,000s next week.
Don't do that. We will not allow that, but the plus money can stay. I will jump into my best bets, guys. I talked myself into it. We're going with it. New York Mets money line plus 120. I know people are going to yell at me. I know people were calling me biased last night. I'm a Yankee fan. I hate the Mets. People were messaging me. You're just picking that because you're from New York. Let me tell you something. If you're from a city and you're a fan of the other team, you usually don't root for the other team in the city, and that's not me. But I do think this Mets team has proven it time and time again. When their backs are on the wall, they get it done. And Katana can get it done. So give me the Mets. My second favorite play is going to be the under tonight, under 37.5 in the Broncos Saints. Not going to go into that whole spiel again. Y'all know why. And Texas minus 4.5 for the Saturday slate. JD, we have over 1,000 people here. All waiting for your best bets. What do you got?
Yeah, let's go. Let's actually go to the Saturday slate first. Both those games we talked about, those actually are plays for actually me. Give me the Bama and the Tennessee over the over 56. Then in the Georgia and Texas game, and that's the same actually way here. I absolutely love that. Give me the over 55 and a half there. And then for tonight, let's go with 2 for tonight. Let's go to the Dodgers and Mets game. Give me that over 7 at minus 110. Then to Thursday night football. Just after that, actually this price, I just have to do it here. Just give me the Broncos. Give me the money line at minus 135.
I like it.
Take there.
Absolutely. Fellas, we've been on. We went a little long today. We weren't here the last couple days, so we wanted to give you guys a great show. We appreciate every single person who commented, every single person who tuned in, and
Even
all
you,
of you guys, even you, Footy. Take that back. Guys, it's been a fantastic show. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. JD, say goodbye to the people.
Same old, guys. Let's win.
Let's win. Jammer, smile down there. We'll see you tomorrow.